So with that, we're going to bring on a guest to talk about volunteer opportunities. And I know that, for me, my very first time getting involved with a campaign was in 2016. I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. And since then, I've gotten much more involved. And I think for a lot of people, 2020 is the first time they're really becoming volunteers, calling people, texting people, and it's scary. So with us, we have Jeanette Johnston, who is heading up out of state volunteer coordination for the North Carolina Democratic Party's Fight for NC campaign to talk about, how people can do this and how it's not so scary and how it's so important. So welcome, Jeanette.
Hey, Karen, thanks for having me.
So, you've been doing some great work with the North Carolina Democratic Party, getting folks to help, flip that state blue. What are the opportunities for people to get involved?
Yeah, I personally live in California, so getting involved in a swing state was really important to me. And North Carolina is the swingiest of swing states. We've got 15 electoral college votes, so there's pretty much no math where Donald Trump could win the election if he loses North Carolina, and he won the popular vote there by less than 4 points. We've also got a Democratic governor up for re-election, and Cal Cunningham, who's running to replace Tom Tillis in the Senate. So we've got a really good chance here of pulling off a hat trick if we can get people out to vote. And that's where volunteers come in, because you don't need to be an expert on North Carolina. You don't need to have come from Raleigh or Durham to make a difference. I think that I've been making calls into North Carolina for months, and I've been meeting so many people who share my priorities and my fears and my hopes for the country. And Americans, I really think, have a lot more in common than Donald Trump and his fear mongering and partisanship really give us credit for. I mean, no matter where we're from, we all want our voices to be heard. We all want our families to be safe and healthy. We all want to work hard in good paying jobs. We want to know that our elected leaders have our backs. So these kind of stories about what we care about and what issues matter to us are pretty universal. And so you may not know about the ballot measures in North Carolina, but you can still help voters learn about candidates and make voting plans.
Absolutely. So let's say you've got someone who's sitting there and they want to get involved, but they've never phone banked. They actually kind of hate talking to people on the phone and they're scared. They hate getting those calls. So what do you tell novice phone bankers, or people who are worried about, is this worth doing? Does it make a difference?
I would say first, don't just do it on your own. Make sure that you have support. So that could come in the form of joining the North Carolina out of state program. And you can do that by just Googling mobilize adopt North Carolina. And the first link that'll come up is going to be our mobilize page where you can sign up for your first training for phone banking, and you can join our Slack channel where we've got a community of volunteers and staff there to support you in your calls. You can also look at other groups that you care about. So maybe you really care about the environment. Well, Sierra Club and the Sunrise Movement are asking for volunteers to make calls into North Carolina and other swing states. Maybe you're in your teens and 20s, then maybe check out Young Democrats so that you're joining not just a specific moment to volunteer, but you're joining a community that will have your back, that will support you as you're learning this stuff, and that you're more likely to keep engaged with after the election, because the election is not the end all. It's one step in our fight to protect democracy and towards progress.
Totally. And thank you for the plug for Young Democrats groups, which also go up to your mid 30s. And
Yes,
we
36 years old.
so we've been doing stuff like that as well. And I really like having a Zoom call where we can all see each other, but we're all on mute. And so we're phone banking. And then if someone yells at us, we like write it in the chat, like, oh no. But if someone is great, about it and says they'll vote, then we, celebrate our victories too. So that's a nice way of
Exactly.
doing it.
Then you've got real time support when you're making calls. So you know an expert is there to answer your call while you're on the phone with somebody. It really takes a lot of the pressure off.
Totally. Um, and then so something that, you rally out of staters to make these calls in North Carolina. Sometimes I think some people worry about, oh, am I like a foreign invader, coming into another state? I don't really know about what's going on in that state. What do you tell folks about that?
Well, I would say it goes back again to the universals that we have in common. So you might not know a lot about that state, but you know that you particularly are passionate about education. So you might have a story to tell personally there. You might learn that the voter is a veteran. Well, Cal Cunningham, who's running for Senate, is also a veteran, served 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. So you don't need to be an expert on the location to be able to empathize with somebody else. And what the polling has found is that for the most undecided voters, the one thing that they know about Joe Biden, the first answer they give is nothing. They don't know anything about Joe Biden. So for many undecided voters, it's not a question of Trump versus Biden, it's whether or not to vote at all. And that doesn't require being able to have a conversation about that, doesn't necessarily require having expertise on policy or local politics. It's just a matter of connecting with somebody about what those issues that they care about are and how the candidates that you're talking about can solve those issues. So Joe Biden has a plan to provide universal pre-K for all American families, to triple funding for triple one schools. And if you talk to a voter, no matter where they live, and you learn that education is important, those two facts might be the thing that gets them from maybe voting to actually making a voting plan.
And then sometimes, you're phone banking, you have a call and you're like, okay, the person was like, maybe, I guess, or, you maybe didn't get like a total win, but you log it in and stuff like that. How does the campaigns use that information? Like, how is the information used and why is it valuable?
Yeah, so the when we're making calls, we're recording data. So we record that the person is not home or that the person is no longer a North Carolina voter because they moved to Arizona. So as we're making calls, we're updating the information we have. And then the next round of calls, we have that information. So we might learn as I'm making a call that the person is a strong Democratic supporter, that they requested their mail-in ballot but have not received their mail-in ballot. So I'll mark those the three things. Then for the next call, they're not going to get another identical call from me asking those same questions. The next call might be specific to how to track your ballot and how to return your mail-in ballot. So every bit of information we glean helps both the Democratic Party and helps each individual voter get their voice heard and their vote delivered.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that I find that personally very encouraging to know that you have those great calls that are like, oh yes, that was a win. I got the person, to do the thing I wanted. But even the ones where it's a bad number or it's the person's no longer in state or they're having a ballot issue, just all that data that you're doing, really helps the campaigns. And I like that helps me
Yeah,
stay motivated.
it helps the campaign and it helps the voter. I can't tell you how many voters I've talked to who didn't know what to do, or if it weren't for one of these calls, would have filled out the mail in ballot incorrectly. So the data that we collect and then the calls that come after us are a great value to both the voters and the campaign. And for people who wonder, what about voter fatigue? What about people who are so tired of getting these calls? Because it's not just us making calls, it's thousands of other groups. Well, as soon as somebody returns their ballot, that is public information that so we know, okay, you have voted, we're going to leave you alone. Thank you for your vote. We'll move on to another voter.
Yes, I definitely plan to use that as a motivating factor once ballots go out. Say, the best way to get rid of us is just to plunk it in.
There you go.
So, well, thank you so much, Jeanette. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and hopefully maybe there's someone sitting at home who saw this and was like a little unsure about doing the call thing and maybe now feels more like ready to get in there. So I appreciate
You
that.
know
And
what?
for
It's a
North
lot of fun
Carolina.
too. You really meet a lot of cool people, both voters and fellow volunteers. So yeah, please join us.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Jeanette. And so pretty soon we'll have a performance up from John Cavendish. And I just wanted to take this opportunity really quickly to plug the donation channel again. So our Act Blue page is sending money directly to the Cal Cunningham and Teresa Greenfield Senate campaigns. It's split straight down the middle. And if you go to actblue.com/donate/radio1103, you can help be a part of it. Take some action today as you listen to some sweet tunes. And we're hoping to get to $500. So any even small amount can really help us get there.